All right, all right. Testing one, two, testing one, two. Let's see if we can get it going. This is going to be a quick one. I'm going to try to make this real quick because I really don't want to spend a whole lot of time with this because this is happening so much and on such a massive level that I really don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this particular subject because at this point it's just like, you know what? You can't change people's minds. And I'm not trying to. I'm just putting out there what's going on. Level that okay. And it's up to people to come up with their own conclusions on what's happening. So TYT did an excellent job of um, showing this particular situation where Ben Shapiro goes to these college events of these particular crowds that are like GCU or yeah, is it Grand Canyon University? These places that are like extreme right wing schools, right? And these schools that are extreme right wing, I find to be interesting because they're so the Republican Party as a whole is so hell bent on trying to control education and the narrative and what people think. You know what I mean? They're literally trying to control how you think, but they're so concerned about critical race theory, which is only taught in a law school in law classes. It's not taught in any elementaries. It's college based um, law related classes that in my that as far as my understanding of critical race theory, it studies how race might have took a play or took a might have played a part in the potential sentencing of an individual based on the color of their skin. For example, if someone who gets caught with cocaine, for example, in the same neighborhood happens to be African American, and let's say somebody else gets caught for cocaine in the same neighborhood that happens to be Caucasian, right? That African American male might get 4 years to 7 years, while that um, Caucasian male may only get 6 months or maybe um, probation or something like that, even on a first offense basis. And so these are the things that critical race basically, critical race theory basically tries to examine is how the biases of race may have taken a play in the sentencing or the judgment or the actual arrest of an individual, and how the systemically the system will target someone who's quote unquote a minority because the society allows it. You know what I mean? And so that's just a broad understanding of what critical race theory. You can find more information about that yourself. Don't just go by what I'm telling you. Don't go by what Fox News and what these hacks are telling you. Find out what it is for yourself. You can do with a quick Google search and get down to the bottom of it. You yourself can study how racism has an effect on society. There's tons of books on Amazon. If you go to Amazon's bookstore or you get their you get a Kindle and you buy books directly from Amazon. There's so many books on the unfortunate racism that we as a people, African Americans, face in this society, and also other people face racism. You know, the whole thing that was going on with Asian people being, blamed for the coronavirus, similar to what happened in 9/11, where they were just grabbing anyone off the street who was Middle Eastern and beating them to death at that time. These are not the times for those type of things. We have to be more educated and more aware than that. We can't just randomly blame all people for something that someone else does. Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma City bombing. I don't see anyone rounding up all white people to have them pay for what that man did. You know what I mean? You have constant mass shooters that happen to be Caucasian, and I don't see anyone blaming them on a massive scale. It's actually quite to the contrary, where there seems to be a lot of caping, a lot of covering for those particular individuals. And so, we have a system that's being built. We have a cult being built, a racist cult, a sexist cult, a homophobic cult, um, a fascist cult that's hiding under Christianity, but in actuality, it's really white supremacy, and this white supremacist cult is not biased on what quote unquote minorities will join their movement as long as they support white supremacy, whether it's through making a dollar, making a quick buck through a grift, or people who really believe it, or people who are ashamed of their race and so they choose to be something else because they don't want to be labeled the other. You know what I mean? And also people who are ashamed of their sexual orientation, who don't want to, who will side who will side with the very people who are actually um, trying to promote their demise, so that way they don't feel different, or they think they might be protected on if they're with those people. It's very deep. It's a very deeply layered situation. And so TYT, a news organization that I don't necessarily um, agree with all the time because they do things I feel are underhanded in a lot of cases based on where we're at. I feel like a lot of left wing media in quote unquote independent media organizations, for some reason, they have a tie. Some of these organizations have an affiliation with RT directly, or with um, someone associated with RT, or somebody who has a show on RT. I mean, RT doesn't really pop up on my stream like it used to, and you don't really hear too much about it like you used to. But that's something that promotes propaganda within the USA. And so it's interesting how people will go to those sources as a legitimate source, but then they won't trust the media here, or they'll they'll condemn Chinese news, but Chinese news is just as bad as Russian news. The both of them are terrible. So if you're going to condemn Chinese news, then Russian news should be right up there because they both practice propaganda as a norm, and there's no freedom of speech. So if you say anything that's against the government, or you say anything that the Chinese government or the Russian government doesn't like, they will arrest you, frame you, and throw you in jail for God knows how long, or kill you. And so, we have to be very careful. I like what Trevor Noah said at the House Correspondents' Dinner, what he ended with, and people could say it's whatever they could say, it was a little bit too hokey. I could maybe understand that, but the reality is what he was saying was the truth. Is that we have the greatest freedom in the world, is being able to say something about somebody that's the truth, and hold them accountable, because it's not right what they're doing. It's not morally correct. It's not civilly correct in a civil society. All right. And what we have now is because major corporations and billionaires who feel that their interests are not aligned with freedom of speech, as far as being held accountable by the working class, whether it be from the poor to middle class, or even the upper middle class, that want to hold these people accountable. And even some rich people. I mean, let's be honest, there's rich people. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're a bad person. There's people who, they can only do so much, right? But there's people who will try to, believe it or not, um, use what resources they have for the greater good. You know what I mean? But, basically what I'm trying to say is, by us holding accountable these particular people who have the resources on a massive scale but use their resources for the greater bad, and people who use their resources for the greater good. Those two are at a are at a tipping point, or are meeting at a certain point, right? And what you're seeing now is the massive attempt through the means of social media to indoctrinate people into their cause, which is allowing them to get away with anything. That's their goal. And there's poor people on that side, there's middle class people on that side, and there's rich to billionaires on that side. And so we have to be honest about what we're dealing with. Bigotry can come from any direction. It can come from the left, it can come from the right. in my opinion, it mainly comes from the right because they continue to use this of the means of propaganda and fascism, and just outright fraud and lies to promote an agenda and make you feel like, oh, what you're saying is ridiculous, and basically discredit you, even though your side is on the side of activism, and you represent the just. You know what I mean? And so that's what's basically going on. It's the just against, the unjust. And it's a tough fight because you have, like, my man Drew Titan. Shout out to Drew Titan. Check him out. He runs a boxing channel. Really smart brother. Check him out. But I'll never forget what he says, and I'll quote this always. There's people who are criminally sick, and it's just the truth. There's people who will perpetuate a crime, will murder someone in cold blood, show up and being interrogated, and they'll deny it and say other people did it, and they'll lie and lie and lie and lie, and then if that person gets away with it and goes out on the street, they go right back out there and do it again because they're criminally sick. They'll never admit what they did was wrong. You can call it narcissism, you can call it schizophrenia. It probably ties in with those things, I'm sure, but the criminally sick individual who's unremorseful is one of the most dangerous, um, enemies of a civil society, and we have to pinpoint that, selectively single it out, and you know attempt to isolate it and cast it out somehow, as being ridiculous, whether in society we pay these people no attention, or if someone acts on these criminal behaviors like the former president, they need to be held accountable, and the criminal justice system needs to hold them accountable like they've held me accountable for jaywalking or whatever it is people, I've done or other people have done. We all have rules that we must abide by in a civil society, that we agreed that we would have this structure, right? And so TYT does this amazing job of pointing out, Ben Shapiro, who in my opinion is just an absolute buffoon. You know, he's just a grifter. He's just out there going to Republican led universities and just basically, regurgitating these statements that mean nothing, but they hold weight in those particular groups. And so it's an echo chamber of like continual ignorance because they have an agenda. And so they're not going to support anyone who doesn't promote their agenda. And so, he constantly says bigoted, racist, ignorant things because that's the party in which he represents. But the goal is to say these ridiculous things and get you to be like, well, no, no, we didn't. No, we're not. What are you talking about? What do you mean? No, we're not. And then they'll say something ridiculous, but they think like because it's in an ambiguous way or because it's not blatant in a certain sense where you're not just saying, you know what, you N word, this and that. Like it's not on that level, right? But it's done in a way where you're like, wow, that was racist. You just said something racist. And so we're gonna investigate that right now. TYT uh did this, and I'm not gonna play all the video. I'm not gonna play all the audio. I'm only gonna play the parts that are important and maybe some of the announcer stuff because I don't have a relationship with TYT. If they ever contact me in the future and said, "Hey, look, we want to work with you on this. We want to work with you on that," I doubt it because I've said some things about them uh, that I stand by. Because I believe every news organization uses some form of propaganda, and it needs to stop. There's the truth, and there's not the truth. My problem with the left independent media is there's this argument that comes from the right of the Democrats do nothing, the do nothing Democrats. But when you look at legislation, you look at Joe Biden having more black female judges than any other president in history. That's not the story. What the story is with, and MSNBC is guilty of it too. The story is, oh, black men are not feeling supported, but our black women are supported. So why don't we feel supported? Because a victory for them is a victory for us. right? That's how I look at it, right? But we do need to address the issue because some interesting data points came out from MSNBC of, I believe, 406,000 African American males were unemployed, or were the unemployment increased by that much throughout the pandemic till now. And that African American unemployment, I'm not sure if it was male or just in general. I believe it's male, but if I got it wrong, forgive me, is at 16%, double the national average. So I could understand, right? And I feel like, yes, Joe Biden does need to do something, but understand that the Democrats, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, which Roland Martin is right, they don't do enough to champion and push and fight back. This, it's true to a certain extent, but there's a coordinated effort between the left and the right and mainstream news sources, right? Mainstream media sources that take this position that the right on Fox News takes, which is the Democrats don't do shit, and that's not true. The Lilly Ledbetter Act during the time of Barack Obama, more money given to HBCUs than any other time, Barack Obama, right? More black judges promoted. The biggest economic downfall that we faced, the recession, was we pulled it off, and we got pulled out of that because of the Democrats. COVID-19, a former president who said it was a hoax to drink bleach to shoot up Lysol, okay, and all these ridiculous things. Even though he's not a medical professional, take hydrochloroquine, take ivermectin, all this kookery, right? This kookery that's going on, okay, was promoted by a former president who said these things because he didn't want to look bad. He didn't want it to reflect his record. And so his thing was deny, deny, deny. Don't believe what your eyes are seeing. Believe what I'm telling you. And he says it all the time. And so those are the tactics of propagandists, and those are the tactics that Nazis used in the time of Hitler, right? And so this is something that's extremely dangerous. And so the thing about it is, you have a freedom of speech, you have a right. The left media has the right to do whatever they want to do, but we're going to get to a point where the right is going to regain control, okay? And when they do, they're not going to just send bombs to news studios. They're not going to just do the insurrection that they tried to do last time. It's going to be way worse than that. And I don't understand the thinking of TYT, the Minority Report, um, not people like Brian Tyler. Shout out to him. He's on it. You know, the thinking of David Pakman, the thinking of certain people. I don't understand why you think that this is a time to play politics and to play like everything is normal when we're dealing with the attempted overthrow still to this day of the United States government. And when you have a former president who says there needs to be markings on people to identify, understand, he said something like that about Muslims, but then they want to take the burqa away. So they already have an identifying um, uniform, but yet you want to brand them somehow on their clothing, maybe their skin, who knows, right? These people are sick. Okay, but you want to take away their religious expression, which is basically um, against the First Amendment. So the same people like Elon Musk who cry out the left is radical, um, First Amendment, free speech, free speech, free speech, are the same people attempting to get rid of your free speech, calling everything fake news, blaming the news media for telling the truth, saying that Muslims are not allowed to wear burqas. Those are First Amendment violations. Those are a violation to the Constitution, to the First Amendment. So don't allow people to keep using the free speech argument. But then when you read the First Amendment and you see, okay, well, in actuality, that's just a farce. You're using that as cover to cape what your actual intentions are, which is to have an extreme authoritarian regime that gets to basically dictate who says what, who does what, through the means of a governance that, a body of governance that creates laws that are extreme in nature to promote an extreme right wing agenda that comes from the extreme right. Okay, and so they'll they'll use the Constitution all the way to the Capitol to overthrow the government. We should know by now. It should be blatantly obvious by now that everything they say, everything they do is a lie. They're just saying it. They're just doing it. Their actual intentions is to destroy the United States. That's what their goal is. Okay. And that's the same goal that the KKK has. It's the same. If you look it up yourself. Don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. And you'll see that the goal of the white supremacists is to destroy the United States government. Okay. That's the goal. All right. And so we have to understand that yes, there'll be a time where we can really criticize each other, but the stakes are too high for us to take this position of, oh, the Democrats are not doing shit. The Democrats are the only ones investigating January 6th, while the other side denies it even happened. They're denying that it even happened. These people get hits. They get popular. They're popular on Twitter. Look at Elon Musk. He realizes that it's basically a form of confirmation bias on steroids, right? That's what's happening. Okay? It's a tactic to say, yeah, I'm on your side. Yeah, I'm on your side. Yeah, I'm on your side. So I can get what I want, right? Elon Musk saying that the left is radical. We just went through how ridiculous of a statement that is. It's ridiculous. Okay, when you compare it to the attempted overthrow of the United States government done by the former president and the Republicans, attempted overthrow of the government. Based on what they said was possible, Kamala Harris should have the right to do the same thing, right? If Pence could have not certified the election, then that means Kamala Harris coming up in 2024, she shouldn't certify it either, right? If there's a stipulation or whatever. And so these things are absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. You have an extremist party that's violent, that brings guns to the Capitol and pipe bombs. Okay, I covered that. All right, in order to kill anyone who disagrees with them just cuz. Just cuz. They're playing team politics, but guess what? They're not throwing baseballs, they're throwing bullets. That's what's going on. And so when I see the left media take this position, I can't help but think to myself, like, whose side are you on? Because we're dealing with a tyrannical, fascist, rabid group of individuals who want to kill you. They want to kill you. You know, when Kamala Harris was in um, the Senate, I believe, and George Floyd was murdered in front of everyone to see, and it sparked a movement. 2 weeks later, Cory Booker and Kamala Harris sponsored a bill called the anti lynching bill. Okay. And Rand Paul went up there, all right, whose father has long ties with extremist groups, okay, for a long period of time. People like David Duke and these groups, this is nothing new. What Trump did is nothing new. What the former president did is nothing new. This is not new. It's just more mainstream. That's all it is. It's nothing new. They've been dying for mainstream attention since the Third Reich fell. They've been trying to do this. And now they're here. Now we're here, right? Because of social media, because of YouTube and Google and fucking Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. All these social media organizations just want your money and your attention. And they'll say and do whatever they can to get your money or attention. And they call that marketing, right? This is what we're up against. This is what we're facing. This is the problem. And so the idea of criticizing the Democrats when that's the last bastion of hope, that's the last guardrail, they're the last ones standing in the midst of the fire, taking all the heat from all angles. They're the only they're the only guardrails, they're the only organization, the only ones that are fighting for you, no one else is. to take the Republican approach of criticizing them seems absolutely ridiculous when you're dealing with a side that's so deranged in their ideas that you wonder how that they even have a platform. But yet we'll tolerate that and we'll make these videos like I'm about to do now. Say, can you believe how ridiculous these people are? And oh, the Democrats are doing nothing. I will say this though. I do feel like the Democrats should turn up a level to, you know what? You guys are nothing but a bunch of terrorists. And they should just keep saying that. Keep saying that. You guys are nothing but a bunch of white supremacist terrorists. You're nothing but a bunch of Nazis. You're nothing but a bunch of crazy, cite the Constitution while wiping your ass with it, white supremacists. You don't care nothing about people. You don't care nothing about civil society. You don't care nothing about the law. You believe that the law is a tool, is a gang in which it doesn't have to be respected. You could just point and click and take that person out. That's not how the law works. That's not the law. What Putin is doing in Russia isn't the law, right? It's a gang. It's the mafia. He sends his mafia thugs that hide under the title Russian police. I don't know what their title is. I don't care. It doesn't matter. They're not the police. Okay, these are thugs. Okay, I don't feel sorry for none of them because they know that this man is dangerous. They either like him or they want to be on the side of not going into the prison, so they'll essentially do what they're doing. And so it's a gang, it's a mob. What you're seeing in Russia is a mob. It's not a government, it's the mob. And so that is being pushed over here is a mob government, if that's even a word, or that if that's even a something, because government is based on law and justice, right? And fairness. That's what it's based on. Yes, there's corrupt people. We have to find ways of exposing those corrupt people and getting them out of office. But the idea of tearing the whole system down, what happens is you wind up with a system that you didn't essentially, or you didn't know was going to get put into place, a system that you didn't bargain for. And so our system that we have, the Constitution, is the best system. It's lasted this long. It needs to be ratified in the sense of increased liberties, not decreased liberties. Okay, increased freedoms, not decreasing the freedom, right? And so I'm very puzzled, man. I'm very troubled by the times that we live in. The times that we live in is like it's so weird and frustrating, you know? It's so strange like to see how willing people are to give up their liberty and they actually think they're fighting for it. How willing people are to trash the Democrats when the Democrats are the only ones. They are the only ones calling out January 6th. They are the only ones not trashing the media. They're the only ones fighting for the little people, fighting for small businesses, fighting for small workers. They're the only ones. They're the only ones that support independent media, understand the Constitution, you know. But I could understand how they might be frustrated because people have taken this ignorant position of, oh, you know what, it's all corrupt and it sucks and oh man, no one's doing anything and you know this is just burn the system down and it's dangerous. And so I think a lot of these left-leaning independent media organizations on YouTube, Minority Report, David Pakman, TYT, you know, all these left-leaning independent YouTube channels. You guys need to take a serious look at yourselves and tell yourselves, did we help the Republicans destroy America or did we stop them? That's that's the position. Forget about oh the Democrats are weak. That's Republican talking points. That's Republican bullshit. That's the shit that they implant in you and that we start arguing with each other about. Forget all that shit. That's the tactic. Those are the psyops that they use. Okay. There's a if you go on PBS and look at the brilliant documentary of the January 6th overthrow that I believe is just a month old or maybe even maybe 3 months old. I'll try to find it. I've watched it a few times. There's a general, I forget his name. his name escapes me. Forgive me. I'll try to come back and we'll talk about this subject again. But there's a general who, you know, the reporter. It was this bald Asian man. I don't know the name. He did a brilliant job. He's I watched a lot of his stuff on PBS. The guy's brilliant. He does great work. He's an amazing journalist. And he found the general. The general's specialty, okay, that promoted the big lie, that attempted the coup, okay, along with Byrne, along with Flynn, along with these people, right, that the documentary exposes, who were the key proponent, the key perpetuators, the key promoters of the lie, right? Of the attempted coup, of the attempted overthrow in the name of freedom, right? Which is what they always do, right? Oh, boom! He tried to shoot me. That's what they're trying to do, right? They pull their guns out, shoot you. Oh, he tried to kill me. That's you gotta understand. What they do, right? The adolescent nature of these people, right? These people just seem to be able to get away with whatever the fuck, and it's just again, it's so frustrating. But the general's um main main expertise was psyop warfare, and so you got to understand it's a psychological operation. What does that mean? That means that they're using tactics that a psychologist would use on a human being, right? Psychologists study how the psyche works, how the mind works, right? Fear, um, schizophrenia, you know, salesmen use psychology. Psychology is used for a lot of things to help people, to to help them better themselves, to cure depression, right? But psychology can also be used for evil, right? It can be used to control people. Okay, you have a brilliant show with Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd, where Will Ferrell goes to Paul Rudd for psychiatric help. And this has happened in real life where the psychiatrist takes advantage for whatever reason, because the psychiatrist has some kind of psychosis, takes advantage of the patient and brainwashes them. And so this is the psyop that we're in. And so I really, 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 really want you left media organizations to understand that every time you criticize the Democrats, which is within your right, I'm not saying you can't criticize, this isn't Russia. I'm not saying you can't criticize them. But every time you do, understand you're helping the Republicans, because you're adding legitimacy to a party that's gone so far off the rails. I don't even understand how they're able to even run in political offices, and everyone's just going to be like, "Oh, here comes the crazy." Can you believe the Republicans? Can you believe what Trump said today? Yes, I can believe it. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to stop them? These are the conversations that we need to have. And so, with saying that, it's kind of pointless that I'm doing this thing with TYT and Ben Shapiro right now, but it needs to be said and done, because if you look inside of the room, it's thousands of people, at least 1,000, maybe 800 in the room with Ben Shapiro. And so, even though this is what they want to hear, we still have to speak the truth. We still have to call out what the fuck is going on, okay? Because these people have grown so much. I mean, you know, Ben Shapiro's echo chamber, yesterday, one of his videos has 833,000 views. Now, obviously, some right wing, brainwashed, drone is going to say, oh, well, that's because our stuff is better and blah, blah, blah. And no one wants to be a cuck, and, you know, wokeism is dead and blah, all this bullshit, right? Which is what is wokeism? Can someone explain to me what being woke is? Can someone explain that to me? What does being woke mean? Someone explain what the definition of woke is, besides the traditional sense of being woken, right? I awoke this morning, right? Awoke, right? Besides that, can someone explain what this newfound wokeness is what the meaning is supposed to be? Can someone please explain that? What does that even fucking mean? When fucking Aaron Rodgers goes up there and says he lies about getting the vaccine, tests positive for COVID, spreads it to other people, and wants to say the woke mob is after him. Motherfucker, you didn't accept responsibility for what you did. What does that have to do with the quote unquote woke mob? I'm surprised Dave Chappelle's not saying this shit. I mean, the internet has fucked with these people's minds so much, or they've willfully have gone this direction. What's so hard by saying my bad? It's my fault. I did the wrong. You know how much growth you get as a person by admitting, "Hey, I was wrong." There's nothing wrong with doing that. I do it all the time. That's how you grow as a person. That's how you learn from your mistakes. Life's about making mistakes and not repeating them, right? In a perfect world, we would never make a mistake, right? But that was Jesus if you believe in God, right? If you believe in Christianity, right? If you're a Christian, that was Jesus. Jesus was the only one who never made a mistake, right? We're not like that. In this world that we live in, we bleed, we die, we we fall, we crack our heads open, we break our bones, we lie, we cheat, we steal, we do things that we're not supposed to do. But in our society, you're allowed to have a second chance, in some cases a third and a fourth chance, unless you're black, right? But like, that's what our society is about. It's about learning from your mistakes and repenting. That's what Christianity is about, right? It's about repenting from your sins, right? Turning away from the bad things that you used to do and becoming reborn, right? You know what I'm saying? A born again Christian. I'm born again. I'm a new man. I'm a new person. I've given up my childish delinquencies. I've given up my deviancy. I now go out there and try to bring people together and try to help the world, right? But that doesn't help people who are in big business. Big business benefits from segregation. And so this is all just the attempt of destroying what the civil rights movement was able to accomplish in the 1960s to the 1970s to the 19 and onward, right? And bringing back segregation, bringing back all these things, right? That's what the goal is to bring back the ethno state, not see we're on this side, you're on that side, we're going to kill you guys off slowly type mindset. And when that happens, how much of you motherfuckers that are talking about the Democrats are actually going to stand and fight when these fools are goose stepping to your front door? Remember what you said. Remember the role you decided to play for the sake of hits and for the sake of advertisement and for the sake of making a dollar in your motherfucking pocket, because you didn't do this shit for the people. You didn't do this shit to help the people. Wolf pack. It's just crazy, man. But anyway, this is important, man, because this man has a following. And so we got to expose this shit. All right. Ben Shapiro, TYT, in fairness, did a great job of finding this footage and pointing out this. And this kid, he did a phenomenal job. And I commend him because that's not TYT, but that young man is the true hero because he's in a room saying the truth, cutting through the bullshit, okay, eliminating the sensationalism and the fucking fake outrage and these fake intellectualism, right? That's the fake wokeness, right? He exploits it and he does a brilliant job, and TYT did a great job of exposing it. And Jank, I gotta be real, and Anna, they did a great job, especially Jank's point at the end, which is my main point in this video. Okay, he called it out first. So I don't want to be fake about it because he did a great job and he called it out first. I'm just basically concurring with his statements because he's absolutely right when he says it, and I picked up on it. And when I picked up on it, The thing about being black in America, when a racist thing happens, a lot of times I find myself being desensitized to it to a certain extent, but at the same time, it does cut. And that's why they do it, right? They want that. And so when I saw Ben Shapiro say what he said, I was like, wow, like, damn, this dude's really racist. Like, this dude's a real racist. Like, he really thinks that shit. So, I'm not over here thinking, are Mexicans gonna rob me and take my money? I'm not over here thinking like, oh man, I better watch this brother. I don't know if he's one of the good ones or one of the bad ones. I'm not out here thinking, oh man, that white dude, you know, man, this guy might lynch me. I'm not out here thinking like that. I'm not out here racist like that, thinking that everyone's out to get me and I could only, I'm not racist like that. And so when I hear statements like this from Ben Shapiro, it makes me think to myself, like, wow, this guy's really racist like that. He really thinks that all black people are this and that all his people are this. He says it in the statement. We kind of gave it away, but here we go.
You're only a touch away.
All right, we'll mute this. And so here we go. Shout out. This is TYT, man. TYT, they did a good job, man, by finding it. This is important. To me, this stuff is important because this is the stuff that affects the average person on the street. When a young black kid who's not even fucking 18, 13, 12, 10 is walking down the street, 15, walking down the street trying to get home, right? Minding his business, trying to walking down the street trying to get home. Statements like this from Ben Shapiro affect those young men. Because I was that kid. And I'm still that, even though I'm a grown man, I'm still that person who has to watch his back and wonder, like, damn, like, is this the day I die just for being alive?
We're gonna have to stop here because this is going nowhere. But
what's up?
I'm gonna have to stop with this with you because this is going nowhere. All I'm going to say is this.
No, I just am trying to understand your perspective. Just one more second.
You see, like, they don't. He's like, I'm just trying to understand your perspective. The guy's trying to control the situation. Where's the moderator in this situation? There really isn't one. They're allowing Ben Shapiro to be the moderator, right? They're allowing him to dictate who says what at what time and who does what at what time, right? That's what they're allowing. They're allowing him to dictate who gets to say what. And if you allow a person who's clearly biased to dictate when someone gets to speak and when someone doesn't get to speak, clearly that's bias. So this is a bias mock. I don't know what this is. Some kind of glorification for Ben Shapiro to for them to all glorify his and bask in his greatness, right? I mean, this is the Republican Party. It's the party of narcissists who worship other narcissists. You know what I mean? It's the party of delusion. So, instantly. But this kid did it. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, they are not even listening to this kid. All this kid is trying to do is explain his situation, and he has to go out there and say, "Hey, man, hey, he's got to be aggressive because everyone in the room, Ben Shapiro, the person holding the mic, the fucking, the fucking people in the crowd, they're all against this one man just for saying his perspective. Let's say it's not the truth. He's just saying his perspective. You won't even allow that. So much for free speech, right? This is supposed to be the party of free speech. Elon Musk fucking apartheid ass is out on his fucking Twitter page constantly saying free speech, free speech, free speech, which is bullshit. Because here's the party that you say isn't radical, right? But we are. The Democrats are, according to you. But here this man who worked on Elizabeth Warren's campaign, I kind of jumped the gun, is trying to have a conversation and explain his perspective, and he gets out a couple words and they just boo. They automatically try to censor him. and stop him from just getting his points across, but yet they scream censorship in regards to the internet, in regards to Twitter, in regards to social media, which is perpetuating fraud. They want their lies and their fraud not to be censored, but they want the truth and activism and justice and fairness and civility. They want that censored.
You say on a fundamental level, you're shifting definitions to avoid the consequences of your own argument. And if the idea is,
I mean, this is clearly a biased crowd, because as soon as the other person talks, they automatically boo before he can even really get what he's trying to say out. He's like, I'm just trying to get to the, I'm just trying to, and they boo. Ben Shapiro says, "Oh, you're shifting and you're not addressing the," and they all cheer, right? So it's automatically set up. It's an echo chamber. This is not this is not real intellectualism. This is not real debate. This is not real getting to what the problems are and trying to figure them out. This is a farce. It's a charade. It's a game that they're playing. They're playing games, and there's real consequences. You know, ask the people in Ukraine. There's real consequences to this shit.
And final point.
And by the way, the other person has holding the mic as he's holding the mic, and there's a person you don't even see who it is. It's somebody. There's a man behind him, and I believe a woman that might be holding the mic. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man. It doesn't matter. But there's some person holding the mic, covering the mic, where on a microphone, right, there's a side, depending if it's a condenser mic or dynamic mic, but there's primarily this type of mic. It looks like the kind of mic that has a side that has the main area of the mic is where you want to speak into, so you can get the most clarity, right? If you speak on the other side, it's not going to be clear. People are barely going to hear you. Well, the person is covering the mic, and he's still holding the mic like this, and the person's covering the mic, literally trying to literally trying to shut him up. You know what I mean? And he did a great job of holding his ground in a room full of maybe 800 to 1,000 people that are automatically against him just because he's a Democrat. That's all. That's all it is. They're just against him just because of that. And then when you talk to people and you say, hey, you know what? Or they try to. Sometimes you don't even want to talk to them. Sometimes they come to you. Well, you guys are this and you guys are that. And when you actually stand there and refute what they say, it's funny, like, because I do this all the time with people. Like, people want to have political debates with me, and it's like, dude, don't talk to me about this shit, because you've already made your mind up. You've already made up your mind to believe in conspiracy theories, to believe in bullshit and fairy tales and white supremacy and lies, because your deviancy, because your nature is to be a bad person, so you want to side with the bad people, but you guys want to pretend that you're good people. That's to keep it simple, that's what's going on.
Final point. If you're going to hold on, if you're
and at the end he says, I thought you were a free speech warrior. This is being censored. It's just so true. It's so true. It's so true. You know what I mean? He goes, this is being censored. I thought you were a free speech warrior, but this is being censored. And he's right about that.
Don't advertise on.
He's right about that. He can't even get words out. So much for the master debater, right? The master debater. And then all these channels, you got all these people. Oh, Ben Shapiro's a dog. Ben Shapiro, he's an animal. Ben Shapiro doesn't even fucking can't even handle when someone wants to debate him, or or just talk to him. If it's not going his way, he can't handle it.
Do you come from Holocaust survivors, or are you a Jewish family that didn't?
So my great-great-grandparents arrived here. A lot of our extended family was killed in the Holocaust, but our immediate
your
family,
great-great-grandparents, but not your grandparents.
Right.
Oh, do you have friends whose grandparents were Holocaust survivors or anything?
My girlfriend's great aunt, she passed away already, but I met her like 5 years ago. maybe 6 years ago. She had numbers tattooed on her arm, tattooed from the Holocaust. They tattooed her numbers. This is real shit. And so the kookery of this delusional person named Ben Shapiro who's going out here making money, grifting, doing the most extreme form of confirmation bias to an echo chamber is dealing with real situations. And here he has a Jewish man talking to him about, what's real, what is really happening. You know what I'm saying? And it was just so great to see. And the only question I have is, how come something like this hasn't happened sooner? On the wake of January 6th, a lot came out of that, but still, people are still not taking this seriously. If honestly, if January 6th happened 20 years ago, I hate to say this, but if it happened 20 years ago, oh, dude, the former president would have been in front of a fucking firing squad because there was more morality at that point. Now it's the internet's killed morality.
Of course, many of them. Yeah, I've helped write memoirs of Holocaust.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, of course, many. I wrote memoirs and I did this and that. I'm the most believer of what happened in the Holocaust. And I actually, yeah, like, shut up, dude, shut up, you fucking narcissist.
Yeah. Their families are kind of messed up, right? Like my family is very messed up.
I mean, if you go through a trauma like the Holocaust, I would imagine
they teach that trauma between generations. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, trauma very often in a lot of circumstances is passed down. I mean, I know some kids of Holocaust survivors who turned out fantastic and some who didn't. I mean, that's
yeah. Okay. So you are officially woke. That is what wokeness is about. It's like, people's grandparents or their great-grandparents were slaves.
Well, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Silent.
He has to control his own crowd before he's like, that's what being woke is. Right? He basically gives you the definition. He had to explain what it is because these motherfuckers don't know what it is, man. They don't know what it is. They don't know that woke. All woke means is being self-aware. That's all it means. It means you're self-aware. It means you're aware of the situation that you're in. You're aware of the history of this country. My father taught me. Luckily, I had my dad to teach me what's up and to get me to understand. Yo, you got to be careful because motherfuckers don't like you just because you're alive. And I'm giving you the oversimplification of it, right? But I was like, oh man, how is that possible? Like, what do you mean? And then I would get it. I would get like, I'd get it from other black people too. Like my former principal demonized me as some kind of like bad kid, and he didn't even know me. He didn't even fucking know me. But you have to accept that that's what people do because they really hate themselves. And so you can't expect a person to love you and hate themselves. If they hate themselves, they'll hate everyone except someone that reminds them of themselves, right? So this is what we're dealing with essentially. But he did it. This student did an excellent job of of explaining that. Like if you take a situation like Emmett Till, right, and what happened at that time, you take a situation like the Greenboro massacre or the Tulsa, Oklahoma Black Wall Street massacre, right? There's so many that you can name. Slavery, the Holocaust, you know what I mean? The situation between the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland, right? There's so many historical events. What's going on now between Russia and the Ukraine, right? There's so many historical events that we could look at and we could tell our children, hey man, this happened. And the reason why it happened was just because these people were of this demographic. That's the only reason that it happened. Is because they were quote unquote different than others. And so when you have someone who comes from slavery or someone who sees that on the news a black man gets shot and killed on a traffic stop, he has a young black son of himself. He's going to tell him, man, you better be very careful how you operate. I used to tell my son all the time, like, be very, very respectful of the police. Be extremely respectful. myself, I'm overly respectful. I'm like like the most, like the craziest amount of respect I do when it comes to police, unless they try to violate my civil rights or something like that. And I feel like I have to say, well, I haven't committed a crime. You're asking for my identification. You're asking, I'm going to give it to you, but under coercion and duress, I'm giving it to you because you're armed and you're threatening me. Right away, get that out there, especially with the body cams. You want to get that out right away. And you don't want to scream. You don't want to yell. You just want to say, well, under coercion and duress, basically because you're threatening me and you have a firearm and it's two of you and I'm just walking down the street. I haven't committed any crimes at all. You're asking for me to identify myself when I've committed no crime, and clearly the law states that I have to be under arrest or have committed a crime of some sort, which I'm just walking down the street. So you've singled me out and you're basically profiling me just because I'm black, just because I'm walking down the street, because someone called you and lied and said I had a gun. Someone did this and called because it was late at night and we were rapping outside the homie's house. They called and said we had a gun, and the cops came out and pointed guns at us. And I was like, fuck this, I'm not about to die. So I walked up to the homie's house up his stairs, and he was like, Rashid, he's got a gun and he's got it pointed at you. Like, but the sound in his voice, like he was like freaked out, right? I turn around and this cop's got his gun right on me, and he's like, "Man, you running away?" And then he holsters it. He's like, "You running away, man? What are you doing?" And when I turned around, I had I put my when he said he's got a gun on you, I had my hands up like this with my back turned to him, and I turned around with my hands up. And as I turned around, he was pointing a gun, and then he holstered it. And he's like, "You running away?" Like, dude, they already have their guns out. Like, what am I supposed to do? Stand there and get shot? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that shit was very, very, very much, a fucked up situation. And I have a lot of situations like that where out of nowhere, I'm minding my business. All of a sudden, one ticket situation, like I said, I think I said this to you guys before. My 17-pound dog saved my life and started barking at these cops all crazy. And they, instead of them jumping out to fucking do whatever they were gonna do to me with the mean mugs, the mad dogs that they had on their face, looking at me like this. This is how they were looking at me, like this. Like they would just wanted to fucking kill me for whatever reason. I just left my apartment to walk my dog. My dog went fucking crazy. He went crazy. And I'm like, yo, they're about to shoot me and my dog. So I'm like, yo, Teddy, chill, chill, chill. Teddy, Teddy, calm down. Teddy, Teddy, calm down. He's fucking rah, 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 rah. I mean, going nuts, right? They get in the car and they left. Why they left, I don't know. But I really believe my dog saved my life that day. I really, truly believe that. Because what they going to do? Shoot the dog too? Kill us both? Probably. You know what I'm saying? But they'd have to explain that shit or whatever. And I got no gun. I don't even know why they stopped me. I'm walking down Ventura Boulevard. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm taking my dog out so he can use the bathroom on a late walk. And they just rolled up on me and stopped their car and was getting about to get out the car. And dogs don't know police. Dogs don't know. And my dog doesn't do that all the time. Sometimes there's times where he should bark at people. He's older now. When he was younger, he was good at that shit. He's older now and he doesn't really know that much anymore. He doesn't protect like he used to. But that was one time where he protected. He saved my life. He really did. And there's times where he should do that, but he hasn't done that. He did it that time. And luckily, him and I made it out alive. But they rolled up on us. They stopped. They gave me a dirty fucking look. The guy did a movement like he was about to get out the car. And for what? Like, what was it that did someone call him and say, "Hey, there's some black guy who threatened me at the 7-Eleven or whatever the fuck was close by?" You know what I mean? And that's the thing too. There was a Kentucky Fried Chicken down the street, and there was a Euros Pizza or uh, not Geico's, Greco's Pizza, right on the corner. That's where they came from. So I'm just like, what? Like what? Like who were you trying to find? Because the look that they gave me and the way they rolled up on me was like they were trying to find somebody. Like somebody had did something that they were trying to find. I had just left my apartment to walk my dog. So what is it that they were trying to do? Did they not see my dog? And again, I'm pulling him back because I'm not trying to get killed. I seen a video where police shot this man's dog because the man said that the brother said that they were hemming up this dude, this other brother, and he said it wasn't right what they were doing, and he was calling it out. They arrested him. His Rottweiler's in the car. His Rottweiler jumps out the car, right? Because they arrested the dog has only one loyalty, is to you. Okay, the dog doesn't know what's going on. He sees men in a dark suit and dark suits grabbing his owner, someone that he loves, right? His instincts kick in, so he fucking gets out the car. He goes, and when the dog like looking and checking to see what's going on. The Spanish dude had his gun. He was mad at the black man. He was mad at the brother for calling out the bullshit that they were doing to the other brother, right? So the Spanish cop kept had his hand on his gun and waited for the dog to flinch, waited for the dog to make a move. You see the dog make a move, but you see the dog barely jump up. The dog didn't even jump up all crazy. The dog just did like a little light jump. Like he was almost going to put his paws on him and just bark. Or he was just like, "Ah, like what are you doing? Like get off of him or whatever." Like he knew not to hurt people, the dog, but he wanted to do enough cuz he's like, "What are you doing to my guy? Like what are you doing to my owner? What are you doing to someone I love? You got him all hemmed up for what? What are you doing to him?" Right? As soon as the dog like did a little bit of jump and came off the air on his front legs about like I want to say like maybe a foot and a half towards him, but it wasn't not like rah, like it was no crazy shit like that. It was just a like like a bluff charge. It was like a bluff charge. Before he can even bluff charge him, or in the midst of a bluff charge, the cop shot the dog like fucking 5 times in front of the man, dude. The man got down. The man dropped down to his knees and started crying. Now, what do you think that does for police relationships with African Americans when something like that happens? You think that increases it and makes it better? He did that out of retaliation. He was mad at the brother for sticking up for the other brother, so he killed his dog. And he waited for the dog to do that so he could just kill the dog like that. This is the shit that they do. This is how they operate. Okay? And so, this is why, you know, this is the trauma that he's talking about. And that's just a light incident. There's many instances. Imagine if the people that saw George Floyd being murdered didn't stand up and do what and that's why they don't want you to stand up and say anything. He retaliated against that man and his dog. He killed his dog because that man did what was right and called out injustice. That's what he did. He called out injustice and they arrested him and killed his dog for doing that. That's what they did. And it's all on YouTube. This was like several years ago. I'm pretty sure it was on, cause I found it on YouTube. I'm pretty sure. Just type in police officer kills man's dog and you'll find the video. It was a Rottweiler. It was a cop with glasses on, shades, black shades, and a fucked up flat top, a fucked up gelled up cut on the side with a little like some kind of like spiky haired bullshit, Hispanic brown looking cat. We shot that man's dog just because that man stood up for what was right and called out what they were doing and said it was wrong what they were doing. Now imagine every single time when a cop does something unjust and people call it out, what they say, you're obstructing justice, even though they're in the wrong. They're supposed to be the arbiters of protecting the police. They're supposed to keep the peace. They're supposed to be peace officers. They're supposed to be the representation of the law. They're supposed to be just. And they do something unjust and the civil society calls them out and they have the right for citizens arrest. They call them out. And what do? You're obstructing justice. You're under arrest. Get out of my face. The mob government, which is an oxymoron, but the mob mentality, the mob mafia, white supremacist mentality that has infested all of our branches of government: police, Secret Service, FBI, CIA, military. The list goes on and on. Homeland Security, name it. There's white supremacist entities that have, like Hydra, implanted themselves in political parties, in news organizations, on the social media platforms, right? And so this is the trauma that's caused from that. Now, obviously, you could say, well, he shouldn't have said anything and things like that, right? But imagine if the people, and guess what? They just said something. They didn't jump in the middle and pull that cop off of George Floyd. They said something and everybody just watched him die. Imagine if somebody would have pulled him off of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin would have never been in jail. Uh, George Floyd may have not have died. But guess what? That man who would have pulled off Derek Chauvin, he might have either been killed or he would have done 5 years in jail for doing the right thing. This is the system. This is the complexity of the system that we face. And we're all responsible in making sure that justice and fairness is at a play. And when these people come in, like Joe Rogan and these motherfuckers who come in there and say, oh, well, you know what? You shouldn't even say anything and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, the cop abused his power. Where's the accountability for that? Then when you go to internal affairs to complain, they have video of the cops trying to stop you from even filing the report, asking you who is the report on, which is a no-no. You can't ask me that. It has nothing to do with you. I want to file a report. Give me the paperwork. Where's internal affairs? That's it. Okay, but it's a cult. It's a mob. It's a mafia. It's a gang. In my opinion, the only way these people wind up dead and people get away with murder is probably because some cops were involved and are hired guns on the side. Like fucking what's his name from the Rampart? Uh from the Rampart scandal. Not Dave, not just David Mack, but the other one. Raphael? What the fuck was his name? He's in jail now. Let's see. This was my where I used to live over by Rampart. That was my police station over in Rampart and Temple. Let's see, Rampart scandal. Let's see. He should come up right away. I forget his name. Shit. Fuck is his name? Here he is. Rafael Perez. Okay. That they were robbing banks as officers. They were robbing banks, taking guns from the fucking evidence room and robbing banks with those guns. This is what they were doing. You don't think they were hired hitmen on the side? You don't think some of these people that are Secret Service agents and CIA agents and FBI and police, you don't and sheriffs, you don't think some of them are hired hitmen on the side? Who else can get away with something like that? A professional, right? Or somebody who has the cover to get away with something like that. And they use that every day. That's why when you're like, "Oh, they're lying," because they're used to doing that. That's the front. It's a front. Like it's a front for the mob. It's a front. The police station is a front for the mob. That's what's going on. And so when you have someone like, Rafael Perez, he's just one of many. The situation with Tupac Shakur, which is interesting. Similar situation where he saw, what did he see? He saw a black man being beat up and they were using racial slurs. They were being beat up by two white men. They had a gun, or he said something. He got out the limousine and said something. Hey, what are you doing to that guy? What are you doing? They shot at him. He got out the car, pulled out his gun, got on one knee, and started shooting them and killed them both. And it turns out that they were police officers, off-duty police officers, who had stolen a gun from evidence. Okay, from the evidence locker and was attempting to do whatever they were doing, going around beating people up, whatever they felt like doing. Okay? You don't think they wanted some get back for that, even though those were dirty cops that he killed? This is it's deep. It's deep. It's very deep. And if you don't do your homework and you don't know these things, and you see someone that says defund the police or whatever, you want to lose your fucking mind. I don't agree with defund the police. I agree with demilitarizing the police, because when you walk through the hood and you see that they got a fucking rhino or some shit that belongs in Iraq, that's fucking too much. They're not bringing that shit over it to Beverly Hills. Where you think they're bringing that rhino to? They're not bringing it to Beverly Hills. They're bringing that shit over to fucking Baltimore. You know, it's got to stop. You know, and so the trauma that this young man is talking about is very real.
Like Calvin Coolidge's administration. Do you know about like the Great Mississippi Flood back in the 1930s?
I understand that American history is filled with racial evil.
Yeah. And that causes some intergenerational trauma, which affects people's ability to be, effective, and things like that.
Fine.
So he doesn't even let him fucking finish. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. He's just gonna fucking say some bullshit like, oh, watch what he says. Watch what he says. Hold on. This is the part that pisses me off. And this is the whole reason why I did this shit. Hold on. Let's see. He basically, like, this guy did an amazing job of explaining, like, why people, like, the real reasons people don't trust the government is because they're victims of a systemic oppressive society. You know what I mean? That is systemically racist towards them or is systemically prejudiced towards them, and they're victims of that prejudice. And Ben Shapiro is one of their apologists.
That is not wokeness. What wokeness suggests is that fundamental institutions in American society
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
LiDAR mapping 5,000.
Not bad. That's a long ass commercial.
I ran Elizabeth.
That's not wokeness.
Yeah.
That is not what it is.
At a little more of this exchange.
So he basically told him, like, that's what being woke is. So basically, since you have people that were in the Holocaust, or people who told you about the Holocaust, you wrote memoirs according to your statement, and the trauma of past events of what took place, the fact that you're aware of those things and you know about those things, that's what being woke is. Like, so Ben Shapiro's attempting to refute that.
So let me
things like that.
Fine. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So if the idea is that history has consequences, of course that's true. That's not wokeness.
Yeah.
That is not wokeness. What wokeness suggests is that fundamental institutions in American society
it doesn't.
Yes, it 100% does.
I ran Elizabeth Warren's campaign. I helped organize her volunteers around here.
So just for running the campaign, they boo. Just because he said I ran Elizabeth Warren's campaign, they boo. Just for that reason alone. That's it.
I am a representative of wokeness.
Okay.
When I went to go get my first tattoo, the guy had lightning bolts and 88s tattooed on his neck. And as a Jewish person, that's really messed up. It's basically a threat.
There are racist people who exist. The argument that you're making, and I'm going to close with this because this is going in weird directions, and I don't really want to.
No, it's not going in a weird direction.
Just hold up a second. I let you get out your arguments, and now it's time for me to respond because I let you say the full argument.
Okay, I'll let you respond, but
no, not but. Now's my turn. The reason your definition is inaccurate is because any sentient human being would acknowledge that history has consequences.
Right.
But if the idea is, but that's not what wokeism is. Wokeism is a different thing. Wokeism suggests that all inequalities of today are attributable to not only historic injustices, but also continuing injustices in the now, and that all disparity is attributable to discrimination.
Like that, but a conservative.
Not just
a conservative is the only person. I want to know why. Why is it that conservatives are the only people who define it like that? Why are conservatives the only people?
Okay, so we're gonna have to stop here because this is going nowhere.
Here's the thing, too, though. Is there are there not continuing injustices? Let's just let's if that's not the like I'm not too familiar with the terminology myself. I think it's a bullshit term. You know what I mean? But because Black Lives Matter says it and it represents black people and it's something that the black community came up with, that's why they're against it. They're against it because it's anything that's black, they're against it, right? Like that's what they're against. You know what? I'm not even looking at my okay, I don't have anybody commenting. Okay, cool. So that's what they're against, right? Just because black people came up with it. That's it. They're against Black Lives Matter. Why? Because the title of the group is Black Lives Matter. That's what it is. It's a rabid racist response to people saying we want justice. We want to stop being treated like animals being murdered on the street. The response to that is, oh, these are the wokies. The wokies are coming. Oh no, the wokies. No. This is the response, okay? And so this young man is saying that that's not what it is, and conservatives continue to define it as such. My thing is, it's hard to say that past events dictate future events when you have different people living in those times, but there is a connection on some level, right? Because George Washington discovered the United States, right? If that never happened, there would be no United States of America, right? If there was no creators, if there was no founding fathers of the United States, if they stayed in England and said, you know what, we're fine with the king and let's go to um, you know, the new land and put a flag down in the name of England, this would be New England, right? It wouldn't be the United States. It would be something else, right? So historical events do play a part in present and future endeavors. There is a connection there. But well, also, let's say that what he's saying is what wokeism is. And this is stupid even having this argument because we're arguing about a word that's not even a real thing. Like it's just some shit that people decided to come up with in this time or whatever. But like throwing shade, which I love that term. Caping, I use it all the time. I thought I was somebody that created it, but other people use it. So um, you know, are we gonna sit here and say that there isn't current events that happen now that attribute to racist actions against a certain class of people or a certain demographic of people? Are we going to sit up here and act like that's not happening? I mean, there's black people that tell me that it's not real and all this shit, and it's like, well, then why is it that when I fucking go out and walk my dog, I got some homeless person calling me the N word? Why is it when I go and go out there and go do something, I got some random person I don't even know calling me the N word? Why are they doing that then? Why are they doing that? Why is it that the police are grabbing me when I'm walking down the street and violating my civil rights if there is no systemic racism? I mean, seriously, there's no events of today. I mean, listen to what he said there. He's basically saying that they believe that past events, whoever they are, believe that past events contribute to future events. This person disagrees and said that's not what it is. It's just about past events and the trauma of those events and being aware of those events. That's all they're saying. That's all he's saying wokeism, quote unquote wokeism is. He's saying that what Ben Shapiro is saying is that no, it's that those events is what are connected to the events that happen today, or those events are continuing to happen today. Which how can we argue that those events are not happening today when George Floyd got murdered in front of our very eyes, okay, for the whole world to see, and the cop has the nerve to want to appeal for whatever reason, but he gets murdered in front of everybody, piss coming down his fucking leg, because he got killed. And when you kill, your body releases everything. It releases the poo and the pee. Your body just releases everything, right? Gets murdered in front of everybody for everyone to see. Colin Kaepernick takes a knee for civil justice. And the response to that is, how dare that motherfucker and all this shit, right? So how can we say that there isn't racist prejudice events happening in today's time when there's constant racist prejudice? The response to Black Lives Matter was a group of white supremacists in Charlottesville, Virginia, walking around with tiki torches saying Ben Shapiro's people would not replace them. And now you have a fucking kook with some kookery ass shit, okay, like Ben Shapiro defending the very same people who want to see him die, who think that he's trying to replace them. The great replacement theory. Ben Shapiro's on their side and they want to see him dead. Okay. So let's keep going. All right. This might be the part.
Down into the present, that does not explain. If the idea is that.
But why does this sit well with him and other conservatives when you say it about black?
Hey, how's it going?
God damn it. Yeah, Cenk did a phenomenal job.
Hello?
It's obvious. It's
Black
obvious.
people.
Watch.
Now,
Hold on. Cenk pointed that shit out. He did amazing. You know, the truth. The thing about the truth is more than one people can see it. That's the thing about truth. The thing about a lie, you have to convince somebody of what they're seeing. Right? Like, you don't have people simultaneously believing the same lie from two different points. A lie has to be told to you. But the truth, we can all recognize it. Isn't that interesting? All right, here we go.
Traumas of the past invariably bleed down into the present, that does not explain why certain groups that have been historically not only marginalized but slaughtered in mass genocide are some of the most successful groups in our society. So if the idea is...
It's crazy that they're clapping about that shit, because what he's saying is, if that's the case, then you wouldn't have Jewish people who are successful. Are all Jewish people successful? What groups are not successful and what groups are? Like, listen to what he's saying here. Let's play the whole thing. We'll play the whole thing. It's because it's so ridiculous and it's so racist and it's so ignorant, and it's just like, these people will clap for anything that means nothing. Like what he's saying, he's just, this guy is the master of just verbal diarrhea. Like, that's what he does. He just goes out there and says whatever, and then his echo chamber is like, yeah, 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 it sounds right, so I'm gonna clap for it. Whatever you say, as long as you don't admit that you're racist, as long as you don't admit that we're racist, then we're cool with it. Racism doesn't exist. This is the fucking like argument that they're taking. Racism doesn't exist. We voted for Obama, but yet you voted for the man that said he wasn't born in this country in the very next election. Okay? It was a vote. It was what I call a white shame vote. They shamed you because you voted for Barack Obama. So then you went for the man who said Barack Obama's not even born here, which is a racist lie. He said a black man wasn't born in this country with no evidence whatsoever. So it was a racist lie. He questioned his birth certificate. He questioned that he was even born here. It was a complete fabrication. Just because what? He had a name like Barack Obama? Barack Hussein Obama? That you motherfuckers, Osama Obama, all this bullshit. That's not racist? You know what I'm saying? You motherfuckers are not saying, you know, I don't know, fucking, I don't know, if there was some Nazi named Rump, you guys are not saying Rump Trump. You guys are not saying shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You're not saying anything like you know, you're saying America first, which if you know, it's so obvious what you guys are doing. And you're just denying it, denying it, denying it, denying it, which makes me think you're either brainwashed into the cult or you're down with the Fourth Reich. That's the only those are the only options.
Variably bleed down into the present, that does not explain why certain groups that have been historically.
Here's the thing. If someone's a racist, right? Like when you have this guy's a fucking moron because here's the thing. When you have the KKK, right? The KKK doesn't just have the fathers in the group and the mother and the sons don't know. There's a whole thing about like a whole documentary where the KKK and the white supremacist group bring in PBS to document everything. The son is there, the fucking mom is there, the fucking dad is there. You know what I'm saying? And they're all uh uh the wife, excuse me, the wife is there, the dad, the son, the whole family's there, right? The wife is sewing up the fucking clan uniforms. She's sewing up the clan uniforms and shit, right? Saying the most racist shit. The husband saying the most racist shit. The son's over there quiet in the corner about to shoot up a school and shit, looking all mad and shit. Probably thinking, why is the media over in here? He's probably those are his parents, so you know he's more racist than they could ever be because he's got to prove himself to his parent, to his racist parents who've indoctrinated him with that shit. That's generational racism. That's how the cycle continues. You think the Nazis fucking was like, all right, we're gonna stop here? No, they sent Vatican passport. They got Vatican passports and went to Argentina. That's documented. You motherfuckers used to be the ones that used to talk about all that shit. What happened to you guys now? Now you are that shit. And so the idea that, oh, past events don't have any connection, I disagree. Because you have someone's grandfather who was racist, who taught his son racism, who passed it down to his son, who passed it down to his son. That's what happens here. That you think the KKK stops with just the members in the group and that's it? That they don't try to find a KKK wife or they don't already have one and KKK children to keep the KKK going? When did the KKK start? In the 70s? It's still around today, right? So if somebody was in that group in the 70s, right? If someone was in that group in the 70s, okay, and they were 35, you fast forward to today, 50 years later, they're 85. They're not out in the they're retired or whatever from whatever the fuck they do. Who cares? Who knows? They're not out there marching. Those kids that were out there marching, the 30,000 kids in Charlottesville, wasn't too many old ones. It was all young guys. Who you think they learned that shit from? Ben Shapiro? Who you think taught them that shit? You think they just picked it up off the internet? Some of them, yes, but a lot of them got it from their parents. Their parents taught them that. And so that's what you call generational racism. And so your points are inaccurate. What you're saying is incorrect because there's great grandparents that teach their children's children and they pass it down today. So that's why when you hear people say, "Oh, I like Trump," blah blah blah, he's a fucking, he tells it like it is and he's a straight shoot. They're not going to tell you I like the motherfucker because he's racist and I can't stand all these Mexicans that are in our country and these lazy black people shooting up dope and giving our kids dope and shooting each other and killing and all the racist shit that they say. They learn that shit from their fucking grandparents. That we're just a bunch of animals and shit. Jews will not replace us. Where do you think that came from? If the Nazis were around 1935, 1945, and now we're in 2022, we're in 2022, almost 100 years, when you see a youngster spouting off that shit, who the fuck do you think he got it from? He just woke up one day and was racist? Or did he have racist parents who taught him racist shit? Like, you don't, Ben Shapiro don't make any sense, but because this is what they want to hear, confirmation bias, and because many of them got hate in their heart, they'll keep on championing. I'm not racist. I'm not racist. They'll just keep saying that while doing racist shit. I mean, this is the party of delusion, man. This is the party of delusion. These people keep saying, "Oh, we stand for the Constitution." Meanwhile, they try to overthrow the government. What to them, left is right and right is left, up is down, black is white. Everything is backwards with these motherfuckers, and they'll never admit, like, yeah, this is what we're about. They know what it's about. It's in their subconscious. They fucking know. They know, and if they don't know, then it's deep in them, and they're just operating on autopilot. Okay. But this idea that all of a sudden racism stopped because we voted for a black president, then why did you vote for the man that said he wasn't even born here? Why did you do that? It's crazy, man.
Historically not only marginalized but slaughtered in mass genocide are some of the most successful groups in our society. So if the idea is groups in our society been historically not only, if the idea is that.
Now let's take a look at the last clip and see how this all ended.
It's crazy. This is
the idea is that Trump.
This is the craziest shit that he says, the most racist, ridiculous shit. And TYT already pointed it out. Jenk already pointed it out. What he says makes no sense, especially when we got to stop speaking in absolutes. When we start speaking in absolutes and we say all people, these people, well, he's basically saying, listen to what he's saying.
Traumas of the past invariably bleed down into the present. That does not explain why certain groups that have been historically not only marginalized but slaughtered in mass genocide are some of the most successful groups in our society. So if the idea is.
Watch what he says here.
If the idea is that past trauma always equals current inequality, or that my actions in, say, robbing a convenience store are attributable to bad actions that happened in Alabama in 1930, the answer to that is no. Don't rob the convenience store. The only way they are going to be able to break the chain of history is to make good decisions.
So he basically said, why is it that if that's the case, then why is it that there's certain groups of people, okay, that fucking are extremely successful, but they have past trauma in their life, right? That's basically what he's saying. Okay, what groups of people are you talking about that are those people, and what groups of people are not? And robbing the convenience store, if you robbed it, who's robbing the convenience store? Who are these convenience store? Like, look at the iconography and the image that he's trying to put into your head. He's basically saying, oh well, the Jewish people are successful. And even though we had the Holocaust, we're extremely, like, what, you never seen a Jewish criminal? You never seen a Jewish homeless person? There isn't a Jewish man that robs a bank or commits a crime? Robbing a convenience store, who are you thinking about when you thought about that? You know what I mean? Oh, it starts and stops with me. If your parents taught you that shit, then why do you have 40,000 people talking about Jews will not replace us then, if that's the case? Those 40,000 people woke up one day and said, you know what? This is what we're going to do. Like, get out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers didn't even know about Nazism until it was taught to them. You know, and so the clear distinction, the clear imprint of what he's doing here, the usage of the convenience store, that whole fucking thing was clearly a dog whistle. It was clearly a statement to say, oh, well, you know what? Black people, they're still on some bullshit, and it's their fault because they're making bad choices, because these people over here, like the Jews, the Jewish people, are extremely successful, even though we had our problems. Not everybody. Not everybody. And then what about African Americans who own multiple businesses? What about African American billionaires? What about African billionaires? You want to talk about trauma? They went through some trauma. What about Native Americans? Went through so much trauma, you had to give them a reservation because you tried to exterminate their whole race. it's just so ridiculous. Like the man is so ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, then the fucking people in January 6th need to be held accountable, and so does the last president, because don't rob the convenience store, right, Ben? So they tried to rob the convenience store. Again, their arguments collapse on themselves when you see what they support and what they don't support. If that's the case, then clearly Trump needs to be held up for his crimes. And the people of January 6th, everyone, the 500 people that have already been arrested and held accountable and charged, the 500 plus people, I think it's maybe 700 by now, they need to be held accountable. But also the former president and everyone who was involved with that scam and that scheme needs to be held accountable. Like you said, don't rob the convenience store, right? So clearly those people need to be held accountable. But you're not going to say that. You're not going to do that because you need that money, Ben. You need that money, Benjamin. It's all about the Benjamins, baby, right? So you need that. So let's stop acting like you're this fucking, you know, moral arbiter, you know what I'm saying? Like you're somebody who stands for truth and can set the tone on what's right and what's not right. Okay? Racism is taught to people. People are taught racism. All right? That's not some shit you're born with. You're taught that shit. Okay? And so that ridiculous statement that you just made about how why is it that there's certain people that there is no people that don't do crimes and people that do crimes. All people do crimes. All races are criminals. Have you been inside of a jail cell? Have you seen the kind of people who get arrested? Everyone gets arrested. You have people that get arrested more than others, not because they're inherently criminal, okay, but because the system itself picks and chooses who to go after. Because they'll go to a white man's house who's beat his wife 3 times, and they'll put him in the back of the car, and they'll say something like, "Hey, man, you're gonna sleep in the car tonight, and don't do it again." And that's how you have these women who have restraining orders and all these stuff wind up dead because the cops, when it comes to Caucasians, for some reason keep on allowing them to do whatever they want because they sympathize with them. But when it comes to black people who are minding their business, they're demonized and ostracized and automatically deemed as evil just because they're black. And Ben Shapiro did it right there because he said, hey, the Jewish people are successful, but these motherfuckers aren't. So if that was the case, you wouldn't have rich Jewish people and criminal black people. It's their fault because we had the Holocaust, they had slavery, but we're rich and they're poor. That's what he just said. But Ben Shapiro's a dog. He's a fucking political debating genius. Man, you guys are sick, man. And this is what we're up against. This is what the left wants to say, oh, the Democrats aren't doing anything and whoop-de-wop. You have an echo chamber of delusion and nonsense. You heard the people clap for that bullshit. Did anyone boo him? When they were booing the other guy. They weren't booing him. They fucking hung on at whatever point he said, yeah, you're right. You're right. You do have culture people that are extremely successful and ones that are not. You're absolutely right. The Polish was blah 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 happened with the Polish. We're good, right? Because they only see crime as coming from people who they don't like. That's why they keep saying the Democrats are pedophiles. That's why they keep saying lock Hillary Clinton up. Whoever they don't like is a criminal. Whoever they do like, there's no way. There's no way they could have done anything wrong, right? And so I just wanted to show you that. You know what I'm saying? This is what we're dealing with. This is the shit that's gaining traction. This is the shit that social media is promoting. Social media is promoting this shit for the almighty dollar, baby. They don't care because a racist will put his money behind racism. That's how much he believes in it. But a guy who's just trying to come up, who ain't got that hate in his heart, he don't care. He don't care. This shit don't bother him none. He's trying to get his life together. But a rich racist, oh, he's gonna support. He's gonna fund that shit. He'll fund the fuck out of that to the end of time till he's broke because that's how much hate he has. That's what we're up against. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with nonsensical arguments from delusional people who stay in their echo chambers and stay in their comfort zones and just say shit that their fucking followers want them to hear. That's it. It's people who will listen to anything, especially if you say some crazy shit that they want to hear. Some racist shit. Didn't Trump say that the people, the lawyers that were um, um, trying to prosecute him, didn't he call them racist? He called them racist. He said that they were racist. So based on so where's your lecture against Trump about how that's impossible that they're racist? Where are you with that? What's your stance on that? I'm pretty sure, based on your political affiliation and the bullshit you keep on doing, that you're one of those motherfuckers that says, oh, Trump didn't commit any crimes. Even though these motherfuckers are wearing shirts that said 6 million was not enough, oh, they're all good because that's the people giving you money. So you'll suck that dick. You don't care. You're a fucking sellout. Why are you to be taken seriously? Why are we looking at you like you're the person that we need to fucking go to as a thought leader when you'll just say and do anything? You threatened because they were going to increase some kind of law after there was some kind of mass shooting. You said that you would have no choice but to grab your gun and start shooting people. You're a psycho. You're a terrorist. But we got to listen to you. They keep inviting you to go up there. Why? They keep inviting all the kooks, all this kookery. Candace Owens, fucking Ben Shapiro, Michael Flynn. It's the same characters. It's the same buffoonery. Lauren Chen. They'll just use the metals.com scam of confirmation bias to write that shit to the bank. They're not even selling gold. This is the shit that we're up against, man. We're up against lies and deception and propaganda and racism. The death of the civil rights movement, the death of justice. This is what we're dealing with. That's why the stakes are too high. The arguments with each other are irresponsible and pointless. We have one enemy. Truth is our friend. Lies are the enemy. Justice is our shield. Injustice will corrupt. This is what we're dealing with. You can't say lock them up, and then put the most racist, corrupt, evil, sadistic, delusional pieces of shit in office and claim, oh, these guys are the ones. These guys are doing the best. You want to be mad at Hunter Biden's laptop saying that Joe Biden got some kind of money. Meanwhile, Jared Kushner walked away with $2 billion and fucking Mnuchin got $1 billion. But I thought we were draining the swamp, though. You guys will say anything. You don't stand by your statements. You'll say anything to win. You don't have any morals. You don't have any scruples. You don't have any decency. You have no dignity. You have nothing to stand on. You'll say and do anything just to get the power. And then once you get the power, you'll show your true colors. That quote unquote constitutionalist Democrat, or excuse me, Republican, goes out the fucking window when it comes to what the donors and what these religious fanatics decide is going to be the agenda. Okay, because what they do, what they want to do, stop abortions from happening, close off the borders, uh, and other crazy ass shit that they want to do. I mean, it's all a bunch of crazy shit that they want to do. They're not talking about issues with the people. The Democrats are trying to get people medicine because motherfuckers can't afford it because there's poor people. You realize that there's poor people, right? You understand that there's people who don't have any money who are trying to get money, who are paying rent that they can't afford because the rent is so fucking high. Okay. And so they're trying to find ways to get ahead, and government is actually doing its job of making their lives easier, providing a service and making things lower cost, holding private corporations accountable. This price gouging bullshit with the gas industry, you're not calling out the gas industry, but you're going to blame the president who doesn't set the price of gas. The president doesn't set the price of gas, otherwise he'd knock it down to 50 cents. If the president control the price of gas, it'd be 50 cents right now because I would easily win him the election. But you guys are so stupid and you'll believe anything that you're being told because it fits whatever racist narrative because you made $100,000 one year and now all of a sudden you're a Republican because you don't want to pay 35% tax. You're selfish. You're a piece of shit. You're a scumbag. But you want me to side with you? Get the fuck out of here. And so that's what we're up against. And so unfortunately, what's going to happen, here's what's going to happen. The Republicans are going to take office again. They're going to get the House. They're going to win the presidency. Okay. And they'll do the crazy shit that they want to do. And something worse than January 6th will happen. Something worse than Ukraine versus Russia will happen. Something worse than that. And it'll happen here. And it's going to be too late because these were the warning signs. Hillary Clinton should have won. Okay? I have no problem with Bernie. If Bernie would have won, I would have been the first one fucking in line. Like, hell yeah, we did it. First Jewish man. Dude seems like he's gonna fight for the people. This is gonna be awesome. I voted for Bernie in the primary and voted for uh, Joe Biden in the fucking main election or whatever for the presidency. Okay? I don't care. I'm voting Democrat. If Bernie would have been the nominee, I'd have supported that shit 100%. But this fraction that's driven by Russia, okay, because Russia has a history of controlling parts of the left and parts of the right historically, it's by design. And so these like, oh, I'm too good. Fucking, I talk some shit like, why you guys keep talking shit about Democrats? I was attacked instantly by these TYT fucking fanboys talking about you corporate Democrat. Really? No one cut me a fucking check. What are you talking about, corporate Democrat? I want Wall Street to fucking get higher taxes. I want higher taxes on Wall Street. Is that a corporate Democrat? No. I want higher taxes in general. Is that a corporate Democrat? No. What the fuck are you talking about? But you're attacking me, okay? But meanwhile, these motherfuckers are trying to destroy you, kill you, send bombs to your house, send bombs to news and media outlets just for reporting the truth. But I'm the corporate Democrat, though. This is crazy, man. It's crazy. It's buffoonery. It's kookery. It's nuttery. This is what's going on. It's just absolute madness. And so these people get promoted on purpose because you got these people on a board, Google and these corporations, they benefit financially from this. So why wouldn't they push lies and propaganda? If it meets their bottom line, that's all they care about is their bottom line. That's it. How can we make more money? Who do we have to fire? These corporations have laid off 100,000 people just so they can claim a fucking a positive annual uh, profit that year. Excuse me. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? And Ben Shapiro is on their side. He's on the side of the corporations. He's not on the side of the little guy. He's not on the side of the guy that's trying to come up, the future Jeff Bezos of the world. What they see the thing is that you have people that start from the bottom and make it to the top and they do whatever they can to push the rest down and then make sure they can never get up there with them. That's what they do. Because if you were really about freedom, you wouldn't mind paying those taxes because that money would help people come from the bottom and rise up just like you did. But you're so in your ego and you're so fucking whacked out there that you feel like you had it harder than everybody else, that you worked harder than everybody else, and they have no idea. They don't work, and so they don't do anything, and so they don't know what it's like. That's the position that you take. This shit is gonna be our demise, man. This is gonna be the death of us all. It really is. It's not a game, man. This shit is not a game. This internet shit, this social media shit has gone too far. Democrats, they gotta regulate this shit. Do what's right. Don't we gotta stop. I know like everyone's trying to play the political game of like, but if we don't do this, then this will happen. And then that means this will happen. And we gotta stop that from happening. Republicans were playing this game of like, well, we gotta stay in there, and it's gotta be us co-signing this shit because if it's not us, then the crazies will come in the party, and then everyone's fucked. That was the position some Republicans took. So they went along with a lot of shit as far as behavior and not pushing against Trump politically. That way, they could still remain in office and then claim some kind of like, well, at least it was us there and it wasn't somebody else who would have gave you even more problems. And then Democrats are like, well, we're trying to hang in there and stick around because if we don't, hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm recording right now. What do you need? No, don't apologize. What do you need? The spray? Okay. How's your breathing? I'm sorry. That sucks. I'm about to end this right now. No, I'm ending it. I'm done. I'm already done. It's hot in here. I gotta turn it. Can you do me a favor? Can you turn on the air conditioner? I'm boiling in here. I love you too, baby. Thank you so much. Oh, he's happy to see you. Look at that. Look at that. Look at him. 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 That's Teddy. I'm done, guys. I'm done. I just this shit is just so infuriating. Everyone's just trying to get a buck, man. Meanwhile, real people die. You know, the cults, all the fucking cults. Oh, I'm a, I'm a democratic socialist now. Like what? Like, man, this shit is crazy, man. This shit is so crazy. It's not looking good. Once upon a time, the Republicans, would have fucking. Well, some of them still do actually. Lindsey Graham talked mad shit about Vladimir Putin, so you know, to his credit, we'll give him some there. But he didn't fucking stand up until they tried to kick down the door and slice his throat. That's when he wanted to say, "Count me out." I mean, it's just, it's crazy what's going on, guys. It's crazy. I didn't think we'd see shit like this. I didn't think we'd see crazy shit like this. I didn't think shit would get like this. I really didn't. I didn't think that. I thought we would still stay on that path of like being normal, having normalcy, and trying to pass bills. What's going on with the More Act? Is that gonna pass or not? Fucking what's his name trying to play politics, talking to like go to the other side already. We don't care about that shit. Democrats ain't falling apart. Christian Cinema's ass, get the fuck out of here. They don't care about that. Virginia's not finna do anything. They might hopefully vote Republican. Let them switch over. I don't care. At least we know where we stand. You know what I'm saying? Let the motherfuckers go where they want to go because guess what? When you lie with wolves, you get bit. Okay? So understand that shit. You know what I mean? You mad at George Bush. All these motherfuckers mad at George Bush. There's no difference between George Bush and Donald Trump. There's no difference between them. It's the same crazy ass policies, the same ridiculous jargon. It's just turned up more. That's all. What George Bush did back in the day laid down the foundation for a Donald Trump. Okay, so let's not act like all of a sudden like this is something that's brand new. This is not brand new. It's just turned up to the max. Where we go from here, man, I don't know, man. I hope we win. You know what I'm saying? I hope the Democrats always win because when you look at historically, the Democrats are the only ones that are the party of the people. The Republicans are the party of the corporations. They're the party of the fucking of the prejudice, racist, bigoted, evil motherfuckers, man. The party of crazy people, the party of lies, deception. You know what I'm saying? The party of overthrowing the government, the party of the insurrection, the party of the terrorist overthrow, the coup. They're the party of the coup. They'll attempt the coup now, they'll attempt the coup in the future. This is what they're about. They're anti government, they're the anarchist party. You want me to be worried about the anti-fascists? I'm worried about the fascist anarchists. That's what the Republicans are. They're the fascist anarchists that are coming to destroy the government. That's what they become. Isn't that their philosophy? Small government, right? No, it's no government. That's their philosophy. No government and oppression. That's what they want to do. They want to have KKK members on the corner posted up with guns, looking at your papers, telling you where you can go and where you cannot go. That's the dominance. That's what they get off on. They get off on dominance. That's the shit that turns them on. They want to be able to control and tell you where you need to go and what you need to do, and you don't belong here, and go over there and stay with your kind. That's what they want to do. And y'all cool with that shit? Y'all okay with that? It's nuts, man. It's nuts. But I'm not running anywhere. I'm not running to Canada. I'm not running to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? This is my country. I still love my country. It's just sad that it only took five internet entities: Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram, and Twitter. It took those five things to destroy the United States. That's all it took. And now it's over. It's just crazy. You would think that people being able to see when someone's bullshitting them would say, you know what, that's a bunch of bullshit. The issue is more complex than that. That's an oversimplification of a more complex issue. Because my friend, who I know personally, had to go through a lot of bullshit to get to where he's at today. But no, they don't do that. They say white lives matter and all this shit because they're fucking insecure, man. They're fucking insecure. They're racist. We say black lives matter because they shoot us and kill us like we don't matter. Y'all say white lives matter because whatever we say, you get offended by. And we're just trying to live and you're just trying to stop us. Or you're saying we're complaining too much. You let the racist system slowly kill us off and say that we're making it up because it benefits you because you're not a victim of the system. That's why you keep on trying to increase. That's why you say stupid shit like the civil rights movement needs to go away, or we need to get rid of the Civil Rights Act. Do you realize prior to the Civil Rights Act, if you, as a black person, you couldn't get a loan from a bank? You couldn't get a loan. You're talking about historical contents and why does this group do well and this group didn't, and all this bullshit. Prior to the Civil Rights Act, you couldn't even drink from the same water fountain. What makes you think you could walk into a bank with a white representative and think you're going to get a loan? And even if he was willing to, his boss would look at you and be like, "Are you serious? This is a black man. Are you crazy?" Or he would say the N word. This is an N word. You gonna try to give an N word a loan? Are you out of your mind? Get out of here. You're fired. That's that's what is historically has happened. And now all of a sudden, you want to act like that doesn't exist? That's somehow so far away, so far in the past? Then why is Larry Elder going out there saying that they need to get rid of the Civil Rights Act? Why do you have people like Herschel Walker saying shit like that? Because they know who's writing the checks. So they got their check. Why do they care about you? They don't care about you until it affects them. Those same people, mark my words, those same people, Herschel Walker, Larry Elder, those same people, when some racist shit happens to them, they're going to be the first one to say it was racist. They're going to be the first ones to say it. Two things are going to happen. They're going to get stopped and they're going to say, "You know who I am?" They think that they're good. They think they got in with the certain people that's going to make sure that they're good. These tokens out here. It's crazy, man. These guys have already pushed it to the brink. They pushed it to the brink, and people are now saying the craziest shit. I got some Asian dude on Twitter hitting me up talking about black on Asian crime is up 280%, whoop de wop, and all this shit. Do you realize that Asians and blacks used to march together during the civil rights movement that the first person lynched in this country, one of the first people lynched in this country was an Asian person. We have more in common than we have separate. But you want to tell me 280 that the crime has gone up 280%. I don't see black people shooting up massage parlors. And if that's the case, it's wrong, right? But every single person doing that is wrong. Hate crime against a certain minority people from any race is wrong. I saw a white dude beat and a black dude beat the fuck out of these old Asian couples. It was wrong. But when you single out and say, "Oh, black people whoop de wop" and all this shit, you're basically saying, "Oh, our enemy is just them. These white people are cool. We're good with them, but black people are out here tripping." It's a fucking it's a fucking gang thing happening where certain sides are siding with certain people. Before, a lot of people were on our side and we were able to do these things together. Jewish people, Asian people, Hispanics, we were all able to do this shit together. Right now, it's not like that. Now, black people have been ostracized. Black liberals are on one side. You don't really have a lot of black conservatives as much as they're trying to make it seem like there is. There really isn't. 99%, 90 to 99% of African American women vote Democrat. That's why they're doing this whole, "Oh, what about black men?" Come on, man. This shit is by design, man. I'm not stupid, dude. I'm not dumb. You know what I mean? Like, it's clearly done by design. And so it's gonna be some crazy shit happens. But guess what? When a motherfucker like Vladimir Putin invades a country, it's too late. It's too late. It's too late. He's talking about nukes every other fucking Wednesday. Every 2 days or 3 days, he's talking about nukes. But you motherfuckers are over here talking about, "Oh, well, wokeism, wokeism." Wokeism's not threatening to nuke you, okay? It's not the woke liberals coming to try to fucking nuke you, okay? They're the ones trying, the quote unquote woke liberals are the ones trying to stop the bullshit. Regulate the internet, man. It's too much, man. These corporations are gone. They've gone Looney Tunes. It's too much. It's too much. Regulate the internet. Stop the fraud. Stop the misinformation. Stop the lies. You know what I'm saying? Create an internet fraud bill. You lie on the internet, first time it's a fine. Second time is jail time. Third time, it's fucking maximum jail time. If you don't do that, if there's no consequences, they're going to keep on promoting propaganda because there's no consequences. So create an internet fraud bill. You don't want to regulate the corporations directly? Okay, fine. Internet fraud bill. First time you get caught with a lie, boom, a fine. Second time, jail time. Third time, max jail time. That's it. Watch how quickly they change that shit. Watch how quickly they change their speech and they change doing the shit that they're doing. You know what I mean? But if there's no consequences, then they're gonna just keep pushing the envelope. They don't have to worry. No one's trying to kill them. What the fuck do they have to worry about? No one's trying to kill them. They claim people are, but no one's trying to. No one's trying to do shit to them. They're walking around with tiki torches and shit, shooting motherfuckers, running people over, going to the Capitol, wiping shit on the walls, shooting motherfuckers who protest. Then they say they're shooting people who protest, but then they're claiming freedom of speech. I mean, it's just like it's so crazy. It's almost to the point where they want to make it so sickening where you don't even want to take part in voting. You don't want to even take part in the system anymore because it's gotten to a point where it's so fucking destructive that every time you turn on the news, you want to throw up in your fucking mouth. That's how bad it is. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. People are so two-faced, man. People are so two-faced and so weak. They're so two-faced and they're so weak. There's people that I know personally who say positive shit about Trump and then want to call me. Don't call me and talk to me about that shit. Don't call me and talk to me about Donald Trump and try to convince me why you love sucking his dick. I don't want to hear that shit. That shit makes me throw up. It makes me look at you like you're not even a man. Like you're not even a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? You're not even a fucking man as much as you worship this man, dude. It's crazy. Like, what is up with you? Like, what is your, like, you don't have a dad? It's all these not having a dad ass motherfuckers that want to look up to this piece of shit. Like, dude, this shit is nuts, dude. This shit is nuts, man. These people aren't men. These people aren't strong. They're weak. Because one day they were Democrat, next day they're Republican. Like, you're a fucking chump. You're a bitch. You're a fucking weakling. Don't fucking talk to me and call me and have a discussion with me about some shit like that when I know the people who got you into the Republican shit. Don't fucking talk to me about that shit. Miss that shit. And no, it's not a joke. Don't joke with me about that shit either. Ain't nothing funny about that shit. Nothing was funny about January 6th. Nothing was funny about George Floyd. There's nothing funny about me having a target on my back just because I'm a Democrat, just because I'm black. There's a target on us. And you fools want to fucking say the Democrats are not doing enough and fucking, you know, I can't believe, can you believe this and can you believe that? Like, you guys are not going to learn until they fucking kill you on the fucking streets. That's what it's gonna take. You're gonna wait for them to fucking shoot you for you to be like, oh shit, now oh damn, this is how bad it's gotten, or I should have done something else. I should have worked harder to change it. It's too late, motherfucker. It's too late. Keep talking about Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro all you want, but they're coming for you. They're coming. The Caesar Seahawks are coming to blow your shit up. They're coming to blow your fucking head off. They're coming with the January 6th shit on steroids. They're coming back with that shit to kill you, to kill AOC, to kill Schumer, to kill fucking Nancy Pelosi. They're coming to kill them all. They already tried how many times? They tried with the bombs, then they tried with January 6th. They're coming to kill all of them. They're coming to kill MSNBC, and yes, they're coming to kill you, fucking uh, can you believe the Democrat, the do nothing Democrat, and you want to hold the Democrats responsible when they're the only ones fighting for you? They're coming for you as well. Okay, what are you going to do? Switch sides? What are you going to do? Say mission accomplished? We were working with the other side the whole time? We were trying to destroy the Democratic Party the whole time? What are you going to say? It's just not a game, man. It's just not funny. It's just not a game. And you're doing this shit for the dollar just like they are. Stop acting like you're altruist. You don't have that much altruism. Wolf pack. I knew what that shit was about before you even fucking named your pack. I knew what it was about. I knew what your intentions were. Talking about, oh, I'm running. Yeah, no shit, motherfucker. Took you 4 or 5 years to raise that money finally for you to say you were gonna run. Then you dropped out faster than you dropped out so fast no one even heard about it just because Anna asked you one question about some shit you said about Armenians or whatever the fuck you said. It's just at least with them, at least with me, at least with Democrats, at least we can admit and judge motherfuckers that do wrong shit. When Cuomo did that bullshit uh, with the women and with the supposedly the COVID shit, everyone got him the fuck out of there. Even his brother got fired, even though he tried to apologize, said he wasn't covering for his brother anymore. His brother got fired. Okay? When the Republicans withheld COVID aid, did anything happen to them? Was there any accountability? Did anyone go to jail? Did anyone step down? No. Where the fuck are you guys with that? Where's TYT and all you and MSNBC on these motherfuckers about them not doing the right thing with the COVID funds? With what they did with the money? Where are you guys at? Because when Cuomo did it, he got the fuck out of there. What? Because they don't resign? There's nothing you could do. Send the fucking feds to their motherfucking house. I don't give a fuck. Create another secret service that doesn't just work on counterfeiting, but works on fucking corruption. Do something. Fuck. I don't know, guys. I stopped the political talks because I don't even see politics. What I see is like a blur. It's all blurry, dude. That's all I see. It's all blurry. It's almost like the Bible said, the town of Babel, they're just babbling. That's all I see. It's fucking babble. That's all I see. Just blah 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 blah. That's all I see with these motherfuckers. Because they don't realize how much danger they're actually in. We're in extreme danger. Extreme danger. You know what I'm saying? Ukraine is just the beginning. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. They're the first ones, you know. And there's something up with Ukraine. I don't know what it is. There's something up with Ukraine. There's something about Ukraine. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need to do some more research. But when Trump tried to bribe them, and then now you have what's going on, there's something special about Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? Because Trump tried to bribe them, then Putin invaded. You know what I'm saying? So they're worried about Ukraine, you know, becoming a democracy or whatever. There's something special. I mean, the war is fought there. You got Americans going there. Shout out to the Americans going over there, because that's Putin is worse than Trump. All these people need to pay a price. Putin, Viktor Orban, Marie Le Pen, Bolsonaro, Duterte. All these motherfuckers need to pay. They all need to pay. Okay, and the FBI needs to do something more than just the 500 people. They got to get Michael Flynn, Byrne, fucking Trump, the general who works with PSYOP, all those motherfuckers, dude. Take them all and put them in a motherfucking cell and tell them that they're being charged with treason. Now, if you don't do that shit, then this country's done, dude. Then you know what they're actually gonna do? They're gonna fucking just go full white supremacists. That's what they're gonna do. Good luck with your stories about who's doing what. Then what are you gonna do when it's, oh, can you believe what black person they killed today? Can you believe that they lynched 5 black people today? Oh, can you believe they lynched 20 black people today? Can you believe that? That's what you guys are gonna do? You're gonna wait for that? Because that's where we're going. We're going back to 1950, 1930, 1860. Okay? 1830. That's where we're going back to. I don't know, man. I think I'm done with the politics, man, because there's just no point, man. There's no one cares anymore. Everyone's on the internet, on their Facebook page. What's going on with my Facebook? Calling Megan Thee Stallion a liar when she's got a fucking gash in her foot. The medical report says she has bullets in her foot, but she's the bad guy. She's the liar, not the dude that beat up Dax, that jumped Dax in the club, chased him in the car, took his camera out, said apologize, screaming all crazy like he was strapped. Why you all Mr. fucking badass all of a sudden? You Mr. Tough Guy? Come on, man, get your little ass out of here, bro. You know what I mean? When shit really went down, you were just another fucking woman beater, dude. A woman shooter, dude. That's who you are. And then everyone's on women. Everyone's talking shit to women right now. Oh, they lie. They lie. What's going on with that? Where's this anti-woman movement coming from? Like, you guys suck Trump's dick? You hate women? Like, what is wrong with you guys? You worship criminals? Like, what what am I missing? Did I not get the mafia letter? Like, what did I not get brainwashed by the right video on YouTube? What video do I need to watch to get brainwashed so I could be as stupid as you? So I could pretend like, is that what I'm supposed to do? Just one day? Oh yeah, Trump's great. Yeah, things are awesome. Is that what I'm supposed to just do all of a sudden? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Shit is crazy, man. You guys are cowards, man. You're fucking cowards. You don't care about America. You don't care about this country. You're a bunch of fucking cowards. You're a bunch of lowlifes. You're a bunch of pieces of shit, and you deserve what's gonna happen to you. You deserve that shit. You fucking deserve it, dude. And you're not worth it, dude. You're not even fucking worth it because you're over here just trying to get your money, and you lie all the time. That's why you like a lying piece of shit. You're the bad guy, just like him. You're a piece of shit, just like him. That's why you like him. You know what I'm saying? And you're a coward just like he is. That's why you fucking switch sides and you don't want to, and you're moving to the right side because you know that these motherfuckers are crazy. You know that they want to start another civil war. They talk about it all in the gun channels. Every gun channel I was watching gun channels because I'm into guns, and it's all this propaganda about the second civil war. It's inevitable. No facts, no nothing, just pure propaganda. Pure Pure lies coming from a bunch of gun-toting fucking buffoons that shouldn't even have the right. They shouldn't have the right because they're out of their fucking minds. They're crazy. A crazy person shouldn't have guns. They're out of their fucking mind. They're nuts. They're mentally ill. All this talk about a second civil war, you know it. You know it's coming, and you're a coward. You're a fucking coward, and you want to criticize a man like Malcolm Nance, a real fucking hero, a real hero who put his money where his fucking mouth was. Didn't just talk the talk, but walk the walk. Went over to Ukraine and said, "Fuck Putin. I'm tired of this shit. Y'all some bitches. Y'all some punks. Y'all some chumps. That's what you are. You're a fucking chump. You're a coward." All right, so fucking get off my page with your fucking propaganda coming from another fucking country with your Moldovan fucking internet room. Get the fuck out of here. You think I don't know what the fucking time it is? You're not gonna get over on me. I know what's up. I ran fucking rooms like that. I was involved with shit like that, and I left that shit because that shit's scandalous as fuck. And other people jumped in. Now they're talking about Trump's the best. I love him. Fuck out of here, bro. You're gonna have to kill me, bro. You're gonna have to kill me. I'm not I'm not Sikh Highland. I'm not kissing Putin's ass, and I'm not kissing Trump's ass. I'm not kissing fucking Ted Cruz's ass. I'm not kissing Ben Shapiro's ass, Candace Owens, fucking Ron DeSantis, Jim Jordan, Michael Flynn, none of these motherfuckers. Fuck all of you. Fuck Alex Jones. Fuck all of you. Joe Rogan. Fuck all of you. You're all pieces of shit. You're not worth a fucking half a penny. You're not worth a pence. You're not worth a red cent or a pence. You're garbage. You're human garbage. You're inhuman trash. That's what you are. You're inhuman trash. You're a parasite. You're a fucking parasite. That's what you are. You're gonna have to fucking kill me. Fuck you. You ruined this country. You destroyed this country by design. And guess what? You're going to get more than what you bargained for. Because when death comes, it comes for everybody. Death doesn't discriminate. COVID don't discriminate, baby. None of this shit discriminates. It's going to come for everybody. With your propaganda and your bullshit and your white supremacy. You're that supreme? Go fly in the fucking air. Go dodge a bullet if you're that supreme. You're that supreme? Go fucking do some telepathy or some shit. Do some fucking Houdini shit if you're that fucking supreme. Fucking walk on air, walk on water if you're that supreme. You're not Jesus, so shut the fuck up.